This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
It's 1948 and the 80th running of the Belmont Stakes, and this huge crowd is out to see Ken Citation win the mile-and-a-half test of champions. If he does, he takes the Triple Crown, the first to do it since King Ranch's Assault. And here's Eddie Arcaro and Calumet Farms Citation. A field of 8 now as they approach the track, and the crowd tenses in anticipation. Can Big Cy do it? He's on the rail. Watch him. I don't know whether he's too eager or what, but he stumbles coming out of the gate, even in slow motion. But Eddie gets him righted, and look at the big horse reach out with that tremendous stride. They say he can go 25 feet. Well, he's using all of them now as he goes for the lead. And here they are as they come to the first turn. Eddie has him snug on the rail. He knows what kind of a horse he's got, and he starts to lengthen his lead as they go up the back stretch. And Eddie can sense victory as this field of 8 vainly tries to keep up with Big Cy. He lengthens his lead in the home stretch. 5, 6, and here he goes with clouds of dust behind him and 8 lengths between him and the next horse. And look at that picture of power, the Triple Crown winner, Eddie Arcaro and Citation.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Down the Stretch. I'm Mark Asano. On this morning's Belmont Stakes Day edition of the program, we will reflect on the 11 Triple Crown winners and those who couldn't conquer the Belmont. We'll welcome in a trio of special guests, beginning in just a couple of moments with Mr. Billy Turner, the trainer of Seattle Slew. The Ogden Phipps is one of the finest races on this outstanding card of racing. And we've got Mr. Dick Mandella, the trainer of Beholder, as well as Mr. Ed Stanco, the owner of Princess of Sylmar. We will take a look at 4 historic Belmonts of the past going to the internal breaks, along with analysis and selections on this afternoon's Belmont. So all of that and much, much more if you stay with us for this, our June 7th edition of the program, which is being sponsored by Parting Glass Racing, Saratoga's original racing partnership, who just retired their outstanding New York-bred turf filly Whole Lotta Shakin'. Visit them on the web at partingglassracing.com. Good morning. Welcome on this very exciting Saturday morning in front of, well, potentially history later on this afternoon. And folks, this is what it's all about, as California Chrome will bid to add his name to this list, the Elite 11 Triple Crown winners. You know, taking a look at this, the Triple Crown really came in bunches. There were a trio during the decade of the 1930s. There were 4 more during the 1940s, meaning there were 7 in all within 18 years. And then we went 25 years from Citation to Secretariat, and we have only had 3 Triple Crown winners in the last 65 years. And they were all great horses, with Secretariat, Seattle Slew, and Affirmed. So will California Chrome, at about 7 p.m. this evening, add his name to that list? It is an absolutely outstanding day of racing at Belmont Park this afternoon. 10 stakes in total, 6 grade 1s with purses of approximately $8 million. Here's the schedule. First post at 11:35. Then we get kicked off with the stakes. The second race is the Easy Goer at 12:07. The third is the Brooklyn at 12:40. The fourth is the Jaipur at 1:16. It'll be nice to see that outstanding Maryland turf sprinter Ben's Cat here in New York. The fifth is the Woody Stevens at 1:54. I wonder if Naira did this purposely, carding the Woody Stevens as the 5th race, you know, Woody having won 5 Belmonts, or did it just work out that way? Social inclusion will be favored in the Woody Stevens. The 6th is the Acorn at 2:32 for 3-year-old fillies. They've got to beat My Miss Sophia. We go to the proper surface in race number 7. I'm sorry, we don't go to the proper surface. The 7th is the Ogden Phipps at 3:14. What a matchup. Beholder, Princess of Sylmar, close hatches. Then we go to the proper surface for the Just a Game at 4 o'clock. Discreet Mark, Better Lucky, and Can Stephanie's Kitten bounce back? The 9th is the Met Mile. I wonder why Naira didn't have the Met Mile leading into the Belmont. I know they would have had to run 2 grass races back-to-back, but they're on 2 different courses. I would have preferred having the Met Mile lead into the Belmont rather than Manhattan. The Met, Palace Malice, the horse to beat, drew the rail. If he can overcome the rail, he'll be tough to beat. But I think Normandy Invasion is sitting on a pretty good race. Central Banker will be scratched in there. The 10th is the Grassy Manhattan at about 5:42 with Seek Again and Imagining. The Belmont at approximately 6:52. And the last post, race 13, nearly 9 hours after the opener with an approximate post time of 8:12. So just an outstanding day of racing in front of us with possible history later on in the Belmont. We are up to our first break. When we return, Mr. Billy Turner will join us as we go to this break, the 2007 Belmont. Number 3, Curlin, was the 11-10 favorite. Number 7, Rags to Riches, was the 4-1 second choice. But the filly stumbled badly at the break. Take a look at this great shot. I believe this is a Barbara Livingston shot. You're not going to see it nearly this well when we roll the video. But that's what happened to Rags to Riches at the break. So we will take a look at the 2007 Belmont going to the break. Back with Billy Turner right after these messages.
Ready for the start of the 139th Belmont Stakes. And they're off. Oh, and the filly bobbled at the break. Rags to Riches stumbled coming out of there. And C.P. West comes out in stride. Slew's Tizzy is there. Hard spun to their outside. And then farther back it's Curlin. And Rags to Riches out in the middle of the track there. Then Tiago and I'm a Wild and Crazy Guy. So they make their way for the first turn. And Edgar Prado will keep C.P. West well off the rail. Slew's Tizzy is very eager to get to that lead on the outside. Curlin up close today. Through the opening quarter, there was a tepid 24 3/5 seconds. Hard spun is right alongside Curlin. And it's 2 lengths back, and the filly Rags to Riches is 5th, followed by Tiago at the rail, and 7 or 8 lengths back to the trailer. I'm a Wild and Crazy Guy who's just lumbering along in the early stages of this 1.5-mile classic. So they make that turn into the backstretch run. The pace has been sensible the opening quarter mile, and the half was 50 seconds flat. It's just a bit of a crawl here in the early stages of the Belmont, and Slew's Tizzy is the leader. Slew's Tizzy in front, C.P. West right there. Hard spun, up close, hard held while 3rd. On the inside is Curlin, just inside of the filly Rags to Riches. Tiago is only 5.5 lengths from the leaders. 7 lengths back to stretch running I'm a Wild and Crazy Guy. 3/4 of a mile in 1:15.1. Now the field is approaching the far turn. A long way to go yet. C.P. West, the riders have been very patient, not making a move. There's 5 furlongs to go. Their positions relatively unchanged. C.P. West the leader. Slew's Tizzy is 2nd. Hard spun's in a perfect position on the outside. Curlin could get bottled up on the inside. Rags to Riches in the clear 5th, only 3 lengths from the lead. And Tiago is beginning to roll now. He's only 3 lengths from the front. They're midway around the far turn. 5 of them within 4.5 lengths of each other. And the leader is C.P. West. Nothing left for Slew's Tizzy. Here comes Hardspun. And Curlin is coming on through in between horses. And Rags to Riches is coming with a 4-wide sweep. And Tiago is in behind them. And at the top of the stretch, a filly is in front of the Belmont. But Curlin is right there with her. These two in a battle of the sexes in the Belmont Stakes. It is Curlin on the inside, Rags to Riches on the outside. A desperate finish. Rags to Riches and Curlin. They're coming down to the wire. It's going to be very close, and it's going to be a filly in the Belmont. Rags to Riches has beaten Curlin in 100 years of Belmont history. The first filly to win it in over a century.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
California Chrome has won the Preakness! And that elusive prize, the Triple Crown, awaits California Chrome in the Belmont Stakes.
The dream continues. The Triple Crown dream is still alive.
And the best place to be when it happens is the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. You can also be part of the action by visiting one of our Easy Bet or branch locations or bet online at capitalotbbet.com.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Cassano, and Rags to Riches, a late decision to run by Todd Pletcher. He should make more of those last-minute decisions. Johnny V, despite a bad stumble at the break, outgames Curlin by a head to capture the 2007 Belmont. Our first guest, and I am thrilled to have him back this morning, trained the great Seattle Slew to the Triple Crown in 1977. We welcome in live via telephone from New York, Mr. Billy Turner. Billy, Mark Cassano welcoming you back to the show.
Good morning, Mark.
Billy, it's great to have you. I want to take you and the audience back 37 years. Billy, tell us what it was like for you after having won the Derby and the Preakness with Seattle Slew. What was it like bringing them up to the Belmont, and what was it like for you the morning of the Belmont?
Well, first of all, I trained him harder for the Belmont than any of the other races, simply because he had so much energy that I wanted to drop his energy level just a little bit, because he was I was really concerned that he would go too fast the first part of the race, and so that was a big concern with me for having a very fast horse. But I wanted to get him to go 1.5 miles.
Billy, was he so great that you were able to win the Derby and the Preakness really while still saving something for the Belmont?
Oh, very much so. Very much so. My whole idea was trying to figure out a way to get him settled down enough so that he would go the 1.5 miles.
Billy, how much pressure was there for you? I mean, let's face it, he was supposed to win. He was 2-5. He was supposed to bury those horses. How much pressure was on you?
Well, there wasn't when it came the way he trained for the race. I was very confident I had him where I wanted to, there was no question in my mind I had the best horse.
Billy, we're about to take a look at a piece of the 1977 Belmont and Seattle Slew in front. Did you and Jean Cruguet discuss anything in particular prior to the race, and was your strategy to just go and take no prisoners?
Well, the thing is, what we had originally thought was we didn't let him finish in his first two races, the Preakness and the Belmont. We just were worried about saving enough for the Belmont, and but then the idea was just let him use himself in the Belmont. But when we came up with a very slow track because of all the rain we'd had, that the whole idea went out the window, and we just wanted to get a relaxed first 3/4 mile, and which we were able to do. When he went to 3/4 in 14, I just knew it was all over.
Billy, was it difficult at all for you to have Slew fresh for his third race in 5 weeks?
Well, I didn't want him as fresh as he was for the first two, and that's why I trained him very hard for the Belmont. He worked 2 mile works in between the the Preakness and the Belmont, and he blew out on top of that. So that was a lot of work for more work than he'd done for any other race coming up.
Billy, not very many horses in this day and age are bred to go 1.5 miles. In your opinion, how important a part does pedigree play in the Belmont Stakes?
Oh, it plays a big part, and that's one of the reasons we put so much speed in our pedigrees that it's why it's been very, very difficult to. We've gone so long without a Derby, without a Triple Crown winner, is because the majority of them get to the Belmont and they just can't quite pull it off.
Well, you have watched California Chrome win the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown. What do you think about him?
Well, he's a standout over the horses that he's been running with. I think he's a very good horse, and I like the way he's been acting and training since he came here. He just keeps training better and better from what I could see in the morning just watching him. And he's a really, really nice horse.
Billy, we're about 9.5 hours or so away from the Belmont. What do you think Art Sherman is going through at this point?
Well, you know, I think he's very confident that he has his horse where he wants him. And if you know your horse is coming up to the race, he doesn't have little problems that worry you. You have a feeling of confidence, and that's all that's important. If you're happy with the way your horse is, then when you send him out there, it just becomes a jock's race, and you hope you have good racing luck.
Final question, Billy. Do you think California Chrome will become the 12th Triple Crown winner?
I think he has a very, very good chance of doing it, but I hate to say that he will, because I've been saying that for quite a few of them, and I feel that I bury them.
Billy, you're not the only one. Listen, it has been great having you on this morning. It was great to take a look back. It's hard to believe it's been 37 years. But thank you so much.
Were you there 37 years ago?
Well, I wasn't in this studio, but I was around 37 years ago and had the pleasure of watching you in Seattle Slew. And it's been a pleasure to have you on this morning, Billy.
Fine. Take care. Right-o.
Billy Turner, ladies and gentlemen, the trainer of the great Seattle Slew. And we are up to our next break. When we return, Mr. Dick Mandella will join us. As we go to this break, the 2004 Belmont in front of a record crowd. Number 9, Smarty Jones, was 35 cents to the dollar to sweep the Triple Crown. So we will take a look at the 2004 Belmont to the break. Back with Dick Mandella right after these messages.
Smarty Jones takes his spot in post 9, moments away from the start. Will he take his place in racing history? We'll see. They're off in the 136 Belmont. Smarty Jones got off to a good beginning today. Eddington not off particularly well. Rock Hard 10 is showing speed this afternoon. He's right up there with Smarty Jones, who's on the outside. Purge comes through on the rail, and Eddington will be on the outside of Smarty Jones as they move into the clubhouse turn. And then it's Cayman now, who's running 5th and angles over toward the inside. Birdstone in between horses 6th, Royal Assault is 7th. Master David is reined in to run back in 8th position, and Longshot Tap Dancer trails the field. Purge is the leader. Rock Hard 10 right up on the pace today, and Stuart Elliott trying to find a comfort zone there with Smarty Jones. They're in the clear on the outside 3rd, not far behind Jerry Bailey and Eddington running along in 4th. Then they're followed by Royal Assault and Birdstone on the outside. The opening quarter went to 24 1/5 seconds, the half 48 3/5 seconds. The pace is fairly soft, and Smarty Jones has taken the lead as they begin their long journey down the Belmont backstretch. But he's not going to get a breather. It is Eddington to press him all the way, and Rock Hard 10 looms large just in behind the lead. He's only 2 lengths behind Smarty Jones now. There's a break of another 2.5 lengths back, and Purge down toward the inside. He's working harder to be 4th. Birdstone's alongside him. The field now moving for the 5 furlong marker. Smarty Jones, a challenge on the inside from Rock Hard 10. There's 5 furlongs to go, just a minute from the wire, and Smarty Jones has to hold on to that lead for just 1 minute more. Rock Hard 10 is pressing him from the inside. Eddington is working harder to stay within 2 lengths of the lead. Birdstone commences a rally. He's 6 lengths from the front. Purge has nothing left. Then farther back it's Royal Assault, Master David, and Tap Dancer. Around the far turn, and it's Smarty Jones. He lets it out a notch to lead by a length and a half. Birdstone is coming up on the outside. Rock Hard 10 is toiling. He's now 3 lengths behind. They're coming to the top of the stretch. Smarty Jones is a 4-length lead. Birdstone is moving to be second on the outside. Rock Hard 10 is back to third. And Smarty Jones enters the stretch to the roar of 120,000. But Birdstone is going to make him earn it today. The whip is out on Smarty Jones. It's been 26 years. It's just 1 furlong away. Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. Smarty Jones was valiant, but vanquished, finishing second.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
The big day is here. You've told everybody. You've dressed the part. Your heart is pounding in your chest. Your horse is rolling down the stretch. He's coming. He's closing. He's the winner. You're a winner with Parting Glass Racing. PartingGlassRacing.com. PartingGlassRacing.wow.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Casano. My thanks to Billy Turner once again for having joined us, in Birdstone for Nick Zito and Edgar Prado runs down Smarty Jones by a length to upset the 2004 Belmont. Our next guest has brought dual champion Beholder across country for today's outstanding renewal of the Ogden Phipps. We welcome in, live via telephone, Mr. Dick Mandella. Dick, Mark Casano welcoming you back to Down the Stretch.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Dick, always nice to have you. Before we get into your filly, give us a sense of what the mood is like this morning with possible history on the line at Belmont Park.
A lot of excitement, but everybody's got a lot of work to do and getting things prepared. And like a normal day at the racetrack, people too busy to think too much.
Dick, I mentioned in the intro that you have shipped Beholder cross country for this sensational renewal of the Ogden Phipps. She's only left California once before in her career. Why'd you decide to come for the Phipps?
Just such a great race. Obviously, the $1 million didn't hurt.
Yeah.
But but the prestige of the race, and we wanted to bring her back here at least once during the year, and then we'll be pointing for the Breeders' Cup. Hopefully that's the way it all works. But this, if you're going to pick one, you couldn't find a better one than this.
That's true, and of course, I think I'm going to, as well as the audience, be disappointed in the possible answer to this next question. Dick, because the Breeders' Cup is back in California once again this year, does that mean that this will be the last time she ships? I mean, what are the chances of you and Beholder coming to Saratoga?
Oh, probably not that good. I'd probably keep her in California. Again, the big picture is the Breeders' Cup. So, I don't want to fool around and drain the tank before that comes. So, that will be the number one thing on my mind, and it'll be how to get there in the best way possible.
Yeah. All right, Dick, how'd she travel to New York, and how's she acclimated since arriving at Belmont?
Very good. She's really enjoyed it here. If a horse doesn't enjoy Belmont, they don't enjoy anything. It's as good as it gets for horses. So we expected it to go this way, and so far it has.
She has had one start this year. That came in the April 20th Santa Lucia at Santa Anita. We're about to take a look at it. For our audience, she is number 3. Dick, talk about this overpowering performance, if you would.
Yeah, it looks like a morning gallop out
Yeah.
there. Gary Stevens riding her that way, matter of fact. But you know, when all's said and done, it was a significant race. She was supposed to beat those. I'd have been awfully disappointed had she not. But you couldn't expect one to do it any easier than that.
While that is very, very true, Dick, did she get enough out of this race? Did she get what you wanted her to get out of this victory in the Santa Lucia?
I believe so. Yeah, she's a filly. You don't need to beat the fillies up much. And she's had her racing, last year and the year before, so that and some good, solid workouts at home, and I think we're as good as we can be.
Dick, how much has she changed, whether it be physically or mentally, from 3 to 4?
Not a lot. She grew up fast. Obvious in her record, you can see the progression, and physically, mentally, she grew up pretty fast. She's maybe a little bit stouter now than she was at the end of the year last year, and grown a touch, but I wouldn't say any big difference.
I am assuming you've got to love her post position this afternoon, having drawn outside of the other major speed. Talk about that.
Yes, if I had a choice, that's what I'd have picked, but I'm just happy to be here, seriously. So, there's good speed in there. She'll probably sit just off a couple of them, and that's what she's doing best right now, I think. And we'll just see who the best horse is.
Well, speaking of the best horse, as far as 3-year-old males, you have watched California Chrome back in California build that winning streak. You've watched him capture the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. What are your thoughts on him?
I tried to get my groom to go over in the next barn over and bring him back to my stall, but he was pretty well guarded.
I don't think Art would appreciate that too much.
But, what more could you ask a horse to do than what he's done?
This comes into play with Beholder as well. Dick, how important is it to have a racehorse who's got tactical, rateable speed that can put himself in a race?
Yeah, it's always a luxury. Often they are front runners or take way back, and she's very adaptable to what we've asked her to do, and you don't get many like that.
Well, she is special, California Chrome special. Dick, we, as always, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch, and all the best later this afternoon with Beholder.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Dick. Dick Mandella, ladies and gentlemen. What a race the Phipps is. But as I mentioned during the interview, with the Breeders' Cup being back in California, and listen, it's wonderful to have it at Santa Anita, but it impacts races throughout the year. And this is a perfect example. Dick chose this spot to ship cross country. It's a great race for a lot of money, but chances are we have no realistic shot of seeing her at Saratoga. And, while the Breeders' Cup is a great 2 days of racing, it does have negative impacts throughout the year. And we are up to our next break. When we return, the owner of Princess of Sylmar, Mr. Ed Stanco, will join us as we go to the break, the 2003 Belmont. Funny Side was even money to sweep the Triple Crown. So we'll take a look at the 2003 Belmont to the break. Back with Ed Stanco right after these messages.
In the 135th Belmont Stakes, Empire Maker broke alertly. Scrimshaw right there, and Funny Side off to a very sharp beginning. And those three scrimmaging for the lead as they move into the clubhouse turn. 9 Ever and 10 Most Wanted just in behind, running 4th and 5th. 5 lengths back to Long Shot Supervisor. Funny Side and Scrimshaw. Funny Side on the outside. Scrimshaw toward the inside, and a change in tactics here for Funny Side today. A change of tactics from the Derby and the Preakness. He is going to be the early leader. Funny Side in front as they round the sweeping clubhouse turn here at Belmont Park. Scrimshaw will sit back in second. And Empire Maker and Jerry Bailey, they broke from the rail, but now they're on the outside. And they are tracking Funny Side intently as they make their turn into the backstretch now. Then only 3 lengths behind the front runners. On the outside is 10 Most Wanted, followed by Dine Ever to his inside. 6 lengths back to trailing Supervisor. The quarter in 23 and 4. The half in 48 and 3/5 seconds. Honest enough. The leader is Funny Side, tracked by his arch rival, Empire Maker, on the outside, glued to him as they continue their run down the backstretch. Scrimshaw's not far behind. He's third toward the inside. Dine Ever now gets a little nudge from Edgar Prado. 10 Most Wanted on the outside, sitting chilly. They're halfway through the Belmont. They've run 3 quarters in 1:13 and 2. And it's Funny Side and Empire Maker 1-2. Scrimshaw, Gary Stevens asking a bit more from him. He's down toward the inside. Dine Ever, 10 Most Wanted, well within striking range as the field moves into the far turn. It's Funny Side still holding that lead. The imposing presence of Empire Maker right alongside. They've been 1-2 throughout. They enter the final half mile together, and now Bailey makes his move with Empire Maker. He is at the throat latch of Funny Side. Funny Side and Empire Maker. There's nothing between them. And at the midway point on the far turn, Empire Maker pokes his head in front. Emboldened by that challenge, Funny Side fights right back. And 10 Most Wanted right there in behind them with Pat Day as the field turns for home in the Belmont. And it is Empire Maker on the outside. Santos has gone to the whip on Funny Side. Empire Maker a short lead. Funny Side is doing his best, but he's dropping back. And here comes Pat Day, and he's coming with 10 Most Wanted. Funny Side has dropped back to third, down to the final 100 yards of the Belmont. Empire Maker Jerry Bailey asking him for everything he has. 10 Most Wanted right there with him. Here's the wire, and Empire Maker has won the 135th Belmont Stakes. He won it by a neck over 10 Most Wanted. Farther back, Funny Side checked in third, beaten 5 lengths. Well, Bobby Frankel has finally won his Triple Crown event. He has won it with Empire Maker.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
California Chrome has won the Preakness! And that elusive prize, the Triple Crown, awaits California Chrome in the Belmont Stakes.
The dream continues. The Triple Crown dream is still alive.
And the best place to be when it happens is the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. You can also be part of the action by visiting one of our Easy Bet or branch locations or bet online at capitalotbbet.com.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Casano. My thanks to Dick Mandella once again for having joined us, and Empire Maker for the late Bobby Frankel and Jerry Bailey by 3 quarters over 10 Most Wanted, with Funny Side a tired third. Our final guest this morning is a Schenectady native, a Linton High School graduate, who is the owner of the outstanding filly, Princess of Sylmar, who will go later this afternoon in the Ogden Phipps. We welcome in, and I'll let him tell you where he is, live via telephone, Mr. Ed Stanco. Ed, Mark Casano welcoming you back to Down the Stretch.
Hey, Mark, thank you very much. Yes, I got a group of about 30 Princess fans on a bus, and we just pulled into the Belmont parking lot, and it's really chaotic here, and, you know, they expect between 120 and 140,000 people today. So this may be the biggest day of racing at Belmont's ever had. It's just, it's unbelievable. A lot more people than what you'd ever see at a Breeders' Cup, so it's very exciting.
So you brought a busload of people, Ed. How many of these folks are hardcore racing fans, and how many are coming because of Princess of Sylmar and because of the Triple Crown on the line?
Well, we have, you know, we've got about 100 people coming to the race today, and they're all hardcore Princess fans. And I would say half of them are very hardcore racing fans, and that's what's going to be great today. That while I've said to other people that Triple Crown is great, you know, it brings a lot of interest from the news media and a lot of just casual fans. But I really believe for the true racing fans to really understand the sport, the Phipps is one of the better races they will ever see. I mean, you have all three fillies, Princess, Beholder, Close Hatches. They all look phenomenal, and they should all, however it turns out, it should just run well. So this is a great, great race.
It certainly is. And before we get to that, I want to ask you a question. Earlier in the year, you and your trainer, Todd Pletcher, discussed the chances of Princess of Sylmar returning to Santa Anita for this year's Breeders' Cup. Please tell us about that. What are the chances that she's going to go back?
That's really too far down the road, Mark. I mean, we look at it this way. We raced there last year. It was a very difficult surface. And, the entire experience of shipping the horse that far, it's very, very, it's very difficult. And so our view is we're really taking one race at a time. The chances of going there, I really have no idea. I really, really don't know what we're going to do when it comes to that. I will say, though, there are several races going, that we have that are out there that are opportunities. And if the conditions were right, perhaps, we could consider going. All options are open. And on top of that, the surface would have to be a lot more favorable than it was a year ago.
All right.
But today we're worried about today,
That I understand. Ed, how much has Princess of Sylmar changed, whether it be physically, mentally, from 3 to 4?
Well, she's much more mature. When she came back in the April 6th race, we were, always concerned about whether the filly would still want it. And obviously she does. She's never been happier. And her physical appearance is just phenomenal. I was with her at the barn yesterday. She's got a shiny, silky red coat. She's gained about 150 pounds. She's filled out. And she's just in terrific physical and mental shape. I mean, I couldn't be happier with her.
That sounds wonderful. We are about to take a look at her 2014 debut in the Cat K Overnight Stakes. For our audience, Princess of Sylmar, number 3. Ed, talk about this effort, if you would.
Okay, sure. You've got to tell me where we are in the race.
They just ran away from the gate.
Okay. Well, the real critical part of this race, of course I can't see it, but the real critical part is she runs this race just like she ran the Busanda, and you will see Javi come around. When they come around the corner, she settles in, and she starts to really break through the horses and come through. And Javi was gearing her down at the end of the race, and I asked Javi, how it went, and he said she just wanted to go. And I think one real important point for the viewers, I mean, I was concerned about the mile, and of course it was a little bit of an easier field, but still, there were good horses in that field. But the real key point for the viewers, to what Todd said to me, with one like this, he would have no problem if he wanted to back her up and run in a 6 furlong sprint. He said she can really go from 6 furlongs to 1.25 miles. It doesn't matter.
Wow, that is quite a statement. That is also quite unusual.
So he said when the really good ones, they'll do anything you ask. And she came out of that just in superb shape. And the reason we didn't go to the Ruffian or take an intermediate race was one of the issues with the Princess has always been to keep weight on her, and we wanted her prepared for the summer races. We have a specific target. We like the personal ensign that's coming up in the personal ensign comes up August 22nd, and then after that race or before that race, there's always the possibility of the Delaware Handicap. But it's really wide open. We just want to see how she comes out one race at a time.
Ed, I asked the same question a few moments ago to Dick Mandella because Beholder has run once this year and dominated overmatched rivals. Do you and Todd think Princess of Sylmar got enough out of that race to be ready to face? I mean, you're facing two monsters this afternoon.
Yeah, there's no question about it. There's no question. She's ready to rock. So we're pretty excited. We're pretty excited about the whole thing. I mean, that race was fine, and she's more than ready to go. When I was with her yesterday, you know, the word at the barn was she's as good as she's as ready as she could possibly be, and she's perfect, absolutely perfect. So we're really excited, Mark. The fans obviously are excited, and I'll tell you, we've heard from people all over the world. As a matter of fact, I've got one person who's arriving at JFK from Tokyo at 11 o'clock this morning who's coming directly over here to Belmont. So this is a lot of fun.
That's terrific. Final question, Ed, before we let you go, your thoughts on California Chrome. Will he become the 12th Triple Crown winner later today?
Well, you know, I look at it this way. Obviously, he's in the best shape. He's got the best chance, no doubt. But, you know, going in the Belmont Stakes, it's like I said to Andy Serling, it's a fraternity hazing because you got jockeys that, you know, not only do you have to win the race, you got to get by all those other jockeys with their horses. And so, to me, as a bet, I would never bet him at 2 to 5 or 3 to 5. But I'll tell you, if California Chrome wins the race, he's truly great. He would be truly great. So we'll see what happens when those fans start cheering.
Ed, as always, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for having joined us this morning on Down the Stretch, and all the best with Princess later this afternoon in the Phipps.
All right. Thank you very much, Mark. Take care.
Thanks, Ed. Ed Stanco, ladies and gentlemen, the owner of Princess of Sylmar. And we are up to our final break. When we return, analysis and selections on this afternoon's Belmont. As we go to the break, you knew this was coming. 1973, it had been a quarter century since the last Triple Crown winner. So enjoy the 73 Belmont to the break. Back with much more right after these messages.
For this tremendous Belmont Stakes. Everybody's in line, and they're off. Looks like the early lead goes to My Gallant. Yes, My Gallant going for the lead with Twice the Prince on the outside. Secretariat away very well, has good position on the rail, and in fact is now going up with the leader. They're moving for the first turn. It is Secretariat. Sham on the outside is also moving along strongly, and now it's Sham. Sham and Secretariat are right together into the first turn. My Gallant has third behind them. Then it's Twice the Prince, and the trailer is Private Smiles as they go by the turn. Those two together, Sham on the outside. Sham getting ahead in front as they move around the turn with Secretariat second. Then there's a large gap. Make it 8 lengths back to My Gallant in third and Twice the Prince fourth. And Private Smiles is still the trailer. They're on the backstretch. It's almost a match race now. Secretariat's on the inside, by ahead. Sham is on the outside. They've opened 10 lengths on My Gallant, who is third by ahead, with Twice the Prince fourth. Then it's another 8 lengths back to Private Smiles, who is trailing the field. They continue down the backstretch, and that Secretariat now taking the lead. He's got it by about a length and a half. Still Sham, 10 lengths back. My Gallant, Twice the Prince. They're moving on the turn now. For the turn at Secretariat. It looks like he's opening. The lead is increasing. Make it 3 and a half. He's moving into the turn. Secretariat holding on to a large lead. Sham is second, and then it's a long way back to My Gallant and Twice the Prince. They're on the turn. Its Secretariat is blazing along. The first 3/4 of a mile in 1:09 4/5. Secretariat is widening now. He is moving like a tremendous machine. Secretariat by 12. Secretariat by 14 lengths on the turn. Sham is dropping back. It looks like they'll catch him today as My Gallant and Twice the Prince are both coming up to him now. But Secretariat is all alone. He's out there almost a 1/16 of a mile away from the rest of the horses. Secretariat is in a position that seems impossible to catch. He's into the stretch. Secretariat leads his field by 18 lengths. And now Twice the Prince is taken second, and My Gallant has moved back to third. They're in the stretch. Secretariat has opened a 22-length lead. He is going to be the Triple Crown winner. Here comes Secretariat to the wire. An unbelievable, an amazing performance. He hits the finish 25 lengths in front. It's going to be Twice the Prince second, My Gallant third.
This This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Down the Stretch, everyone. I'm Mark Cassano. My thanks to Ed Stanco once again for having joined us, and Secretariat for Lucian Lauren and Ron Turcott. Despite a fast and pressured early pace, wins the 73 Belmont by an unbelievable 31 lengths in simply the greatest performance of my lifetime. Well, I doubt we're going to see that kind of performance later this afternoon, but will we see history made? It has been so difficult. As you take a look once again at the Elite 11, will California Chrome join this list? Only 3 Triple Crown winners in the last 65 years, and all of them were absolutely great racehorses. Secretariat, Seattle Slew, and Affirmed. Now, since Affirmed last won the Triple Crown 36 years ago, 11 horses have come and raced in the Belmont with a chance to become the 12th Triple Crown winner. As we take a look at this list, they have gone 0 for 11. And that includes 3 future Hall of Famers who were beaten. Spectacular Bid, Ali Sheba, and Sunday Silence. And when you take a look at this list, it is stunning to me. And you know, I can either say I'm old enough now, or I have enough experience that I've been involved in all of these races. And to me, it is absolutely stunning that these 11 horses, short price favorites all, were not only beaten, but only 3 of them, Silver Charm, Real Quiet, and Smarty Jones, came close to winning. This should show you just how incredibly difficult it is to win racing's Triple Crown. Will California Chrome be able to do that? One of the other thoughts that I have in looking back at Belmont Stakes through the decades is what Woody Stevens accomplished. The late, great Woody Stevens having won 5 Belmonts in a row. In 82 with Conquistador Cielo, 83 with Caveat, 84 with Swale, 85 with Creme Fraiche, and 1986 with Danzig Connection. That is absolutely incredible, winning 5 in a row. And same jockey rode 3 of them. Can you remember who that was? Lafitte Pincay Jr. rode the first 3. So remembering Woody Stevens on this historic Belmont Stakes day. For now, let's take a look at the field for this afternoon's renewal of the Test of the Champion, the Belmont Stakes. Number 1 is Medal Count. A troubled 8th in the Kentucky Derby. He was making a run in upper stretch when he got shut off. Now, he would have finished better than 8th. It's debatable how much better than 8th. Robbie Alvarado rides for Dale Romans. Number 2 is the big horse, California Chrome. Here he is winning the Preakness Stakes. And as we pick it up, he is 3rd on the outside. Now, I think one of the most fascinating discussions about California Chrome is, what are your thoughts on the Derby as compared to the Preakness? Now, if you're a speed figure guy, and a lot of people rely on speed figures nowadays, speed figure people feel that his Preakness was substantially better than his Kentucky Derby. I don't view it that way. I thought his Derby win was pretty easy, actually, as he was wrapped up. Here, when social inclusion put pressure on him down the backstretch and he had to move earlier, he still had enough left to hold off Ride on Curlin. This was Ride on Curlin's finest race by far of his career. But I'm not sure I view it as California Chrome having moved forward from the Derby. to the Preakness. Number 3 is Matterhorn. He broke his maiden last year. He is 0 for 3 this year. Todd Pletcher trains and Joe Bravo will ride. Number 4 is the late running Commanding Curve. And here he is in the last quarter mile of the Kentucky Derby. He is number 17. He's 4th from last on your screen. Commanding Curve was my long shot special in the Louisiana Derby. He broke awkwardly. He lost some position. He ran a respectable 3rd that day. But here, under a beautiful ride from Sean Bridgman, and I mean beautiful, he saved ground down the backside. He was in the clear. He made an inside-out run on the turn, which means he actually was able to save some ground, and he rallied to finish a solid 2nd. It was, in my opinion, a wonderful performance. The problem, and I say problem, this is a personal problem for me. I think Commanding Curve is at his best as a one-run deep closer. I have never liked one-run deep closers going 1.5 miles. Now, if the pace is fast or the racetrack is really tiring, it will help him. But if they try to change his running style and he's closer to the early pace, I don't think he's going to have that same punch. Number 5 is Ride On Curlin, who you just saw rally for 2nd behind California Chrome in the Preakness. Now, he sat well back early and made a run. On last week's show, when we interviewed his trainer, Billy Gowan, Billy said he wanted to draw an inside post. He's got to be thrilled with number 5 because he wants to stalk. He wants to be closer to the pace. Again, that question arises. If you race him closer to the pace, is he going to have that punch down the lane? Johnny Velasquez, a 2-time winner of the Belmont, will be up. Number 6 is Matuzak. There is absolutely nothing to recommend other than he's trained by Bill Mott for this son of Bernardini. Number 7 is Samrat, the consistent New York bred trained by Rick Violet. You know, he was 5th in the Kentucky Derby. He got beat for 4th, the last jump by Wicked Strong. But other than California Chrome, he was the only on-the-pace runner who was anywhere near it at the end. Samrat has Jose Ortiz for Rick Violet. Number 8 is Commissioner, distant 3rd in the Sunland Derby, a poor 6th in the Arkansas Derby, and then a much better 2nd over a sealed sloppy track in last in the Peter Pan. Javier Castellano rides for Todd Pletcher. Number 9 is Wicked Strong, 4th in the Kentucky Derby. We're going to go back to his victory in the Wood Memorial. And as we pick it up, he is number 2. He is currently in 6th. And you know, this trip that he sat this day at Aqueduct might be somewhat similar to the trip he sits this afternoon. Now, when we spoke to his trainer, Jimmy Jerkins, a couple of weeks ago, Jimmy said that he ran down a bit in the Kentucky Derby, may not have liked the Churchill Downs Strip that much. He certainly has liked it here in New York. He broke his maiden at Belmont last year. He was a good 3rd in the Remsen. Here he's winning the Wood Memorial. This is a horse who didn't have a big, strong kick in the Kentucky Derby. He was more one pace that day, and that's not a good running style for the Derby, but grinding him down might be a good running style going 1.5 miles. Number 10 is General A-Rod, who along with California Chrome and Ride On Curlin, the only horse to compete in all 3 legs, he was a troubled 4th in the Preakness. Rosie Napravnik rides for Mike Maker, and you know what? I think this horse is going to show more speed this afternoon. I think he's going to be a pace factor. And rounding it out is number 11, Tonalist. In front here in the Peter Pan. This is a victory over a sealed, sloppy track. Now, Christophe Clement, when we interviewed him this morning, was worried about a wet track because Tonalist has had foot problems. Christophe didn't know how he was going to handle a wet surface. Well, sure looks like he handled it pretty well. Now, I went back and took a look at the charts from this day, May 10th at Belmont, because anytime I see a sealed, sloppy track at Belmont Park, the first thing I think of is that speed was king. Often on a sealed, sloppy track at Belmont, you make the lead and the racetrack carries you. The interesting thing this day, if you want to say Toneless went wire to wire, and he didn't exactly do that because he broke awkwardly, but he basically went wire to wire. He was the only horse on that card to go wire to wire. This was his first race since the middle of February. The foot problems, he had a lung infection, he missed the Wood Memorial. So while he was doing well coming into this race, I don't know how well he was doing fitness-wise. The one thing I expect later this afternoon is that Toneless will be fitter for the Belmont than he was for the Peter Pan. And there's a look at the 11-horse field for this afternoon's Belmont Stakes. Well, California Chrome, I liked him in the Derby. I liked him in the Preakness. On paper, he certainly looks like he's going to be very, very tough, and he likely will be. But you know, he's battling history, and I think there is something to that intangible. Ladies and gentlemen, I showed you that list of horses, and I've said since 1979, if Spectacular Bid can get beat in the Belmont, anybody can get beat. So I'm going to try to beat California Chrome this afternoon with Tonelist. I think Tonelist is sitting on a big race. I think he's got much more upside potential than anybody else in the race, with a possible exception of California Chrome. He will be a lot fitter today than he was in the Peter Pan, but he's going to have to be because he's facing a much better field, and he's got to get a mile and a half. You know what? I might be in the minority. I like post 11. As long as he breaks okay, Joel Rosario will be able to look inside of him, see how the race is setting up, and position Tonelist where he needs to be. So in an upset, I will pick Tonelist to win the 146th Belmont. Underneath Tonelist, number 2, California Chrome, is strictly the horse to beat. Can he beat his 10 rivals, and can he overcome history? My third choice will be number 9, Wicked Strong, and my fourth choice will be number 5, Ride on Curlin. But Tonelist, my selection to upset the Belmont Stakes. And finally, one more look at what a great race card this is. 10 stakes this afternoon, 6 grade 1s beginning at 11:35. The Belmont, approximate post of 6:52, and the final race, race number 13, at approximately 8:12. Time to thank all the folks who helped get this week's show on the air here at the studios at the Clubhouse Racebook in Albany. Our associate producer, Julie Hoxie, along with Brian Dorenzo. Back in the control room in Schenectady, Pat Peretta directed, Dino Contonacci on audio. Thanks to this morning's guests, Billy Turner, Dick Mandella, and Ed Stanco. And thanks to our sponsor, Parting Glass Racing, Saratoga's original racing partnership. Visit them on the web at partingglassracing.com. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a great, great day in racing. Anytime we have the potential of a Triple Crown winner, the potential of history being made, it is just a great day. Fabulous undercard to the Belmont, the Met Mile, the Ogden Phipps. So enjoy this wonderful day of racing at Belmont Park. Have a tremendous weekend. Have a wonderful upcoming week. And from all of us here at Down the Stretch, we'll see you next week.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.